weeks ago, ABC was showing a primetime presentation of the movie 13 Days, based on the equally named novel by Robert F. Kennedy, written in 1969, dealing with the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1963. All of us that got to watch that movie, or got to read that even better book, from my point of view at least, caught a glimpse of how close the United States and Russia, or at that time the Soviet Union, were to an all-out nuclear war during 1963. JFK, with his quick actions, might have saved millions of lives around the globe, and many of you guys, and probably I wouldn't be here at all because I'm from Berlin, which would have been the first target in such a case. Many of us would probably not be here today, and the world outside that door would be totally different if there would have been that all-out nuclear war. Today I will be talking about the importance of Russian-American collaboration in terms of the European missile defense shield that the United States are trying to set up in Eastern Europe without consulting the Russian government. First, I will inform you about the missile shield in general, what it's supposed to do and why Russia feels offended by it. Second, I will talk about the possibly life-threatening situation that could result from this conflict. And third and last, I will present my solution for the problem. Let me now start out by talking about the missile shield in general, so you know what this is all about and why Russia feels threatened by it. The radars and missiles are supposed to be stationed in Poland and the Czech Republic, and they're supposed to intercept missiles that are coming from countries like North Korea and Iran. We can see this here. This is Iran. This is the range of their missiles, and this is the shield that is going to be set up. This is the Czech Republic, this is Poland. This shield would save, on the one hand, Europe, and on the other hand, the east coast of the United States from missiles from these countries. This operation also includes radars in Alaska, California, and the UK. There are also planned radars in Boston and Greenland. This program is supposed to protect US cities, US troops in Europe, and European allies. This means that it is directly responsible for millions and millions of lives, maybe even some of your ancestors that are in the military. According to the CNN article Defense Shield from October 2008, Russia feels threatened by the MDS because the US could use it to spy on Russia, which is seen here, really close to the Russian border, and the system could easily be expanded to an offensive system. That means that the United States could station offensive missiles close to the western Russian border, which Russia obviously doesn't want. Now that we know what we're talking about and why Russia feels threatened by the issue, I want to talk about the life-threatening situation that could result from this conflict. In an interview with the British BBC, Russian military officials have announced to react militarily if the US would put their plans into action. That means if the missile system is put into place in Poland and Czech Republic, Russia is going to station their own missiles at their border that could be attacking missiles in order to respond to this. In addition to this, according to an article by Manuel Perez Rivas on CNN in 2001, the United States withdrew from the anti-ballistic missile treaty, which was formed in the 1960s. Ever since, Russia has been extremely skeptical of any plans the United States might take in the area. The missile treaty from back then put a number and a limit on missiles that could be put in Europe, and it limited the numbers of missiles in Poland and Czech Republic to 0. The United States left that treaty, and ever since Russia has been extremely skeptical of any action that might be taken in the area. Both of these together could possibly lead to something I would call the second Cold War. Relations between Russia and the United States could worsen, and there could be a conflict like there has been between the 1960s and 1990s. Such a Cold War could also lead to a nuclear war between the two countries. According to Hans Christensen of the Federation of American Scientists in his Nuclear Stockpile Report 2009, both Russia and the United States have over 3,000 operational nuclear weapons. We can all only imagine what a first strike would do to both countries and to the citizens of the countries. Many of us would probably not survive. Crescent Kearney, a civilian advisor in the US Army, And civilian defense specialist wrote in his 2004 Nuclear Survival Guide that a nuclear war would be the worst catastrophe in history of mankind, and that 90% of mankind would probably not survive it. This means that this is of cruel importance to all of us. Now, having talked about the possibly dangerous situation that could result from this, I want to talk about my solution. My solution is that the United States should work together with the Russian Federation in building this missile defense shield. They could either just talk to the Russians and get their approval of it, or they could take up the Russian offer of doing a station together with them in Azerbaijan, which they could run together. They could station missiles together, which both militaries would control, and this would solve the problem. Because Americans would still be protected from attacks from North Korea, Iran, or those kind of countries, which is the first reason, obviously, for the whole thing. And at the same time, relations between Russia and the United States would stay friendly. This means that there would be no threat for a second Cold War, which I've just laid out. According to a CNN article just last week, President Obama and the Russian President Dmitry Medvedev have agreed to meet and to talk about the topic. It seems like both of them have an understanding of how important this topic is for both of our nations. They both know that if the conflict evolves and grows into a big conflict, it could be life-threatening to many of us. That's why they're going to talk in some of the next months. And I'm extremely hopeful that these talks will lead to good negotiations. Now that I've presented my solution, I hope that you're all aware that we would all be in mortal danger if there was a second Cold War, and that collaboration on this issue between both countries is of immense importance. Both superpowers' relations should remain friendly and stable at all times. If we want our children to enjoy the world as it is today, the world needs to come together and solve conflicts in discussion rather than action. Thank you.